Welcome to Careless Coder. Today I will teach you a way to almost completely obviate your rotoscoping needs. Almost.
Shh, hold it. My wife is asleep. After you. They act like they own the fucking place. Damn ghosts.
Motherfucker! So Davinci 18 has been out for about 3 weeks now, and it's the first time that I have an actual deep dive. And when I read the release notes, I got very happy by this introduction of the depth node. Now, what is a depth node? It actually creates with AI magic, wizardry, a depth map on real images. Now in CG we render a depth map because it allows us to realistically blur the image the further it's away. Doing that in render time really takes a lot of time, so we usually do that in compositing. And it also allows you to actually rotoscope with it, if you think a little. And it will reduce your rotoscoping needs to an absolute minimum. I'm super psyched. I will show you something. Let's jump in. So this is this CG shot with me composited over this CG ghost. Now I shot this like this. And there is no green screen here because it's kind of difficult. There's a cupboard here and there's all my video cables, and there is a hallway where all the AV stuff is stored, and then we have this. So yeah, it wouldn't make any sense. And the reason why I shot it this way, because usually when I shoot myself I take the easy way out, was to test an AI roto. Now as you can see, it's decent, although there was a lot of chatter, but nothing that you couldn't fix with a dilate and erode and some blurs. But the astute of you would already have noticed, like, hey, that hand is missing. And I literally put in half a dozen reference frames of this hand and this AI Roto. There was an online service, which I just read is being cancelled in September 1st. Well, for good reason, I guess, because there is no need for it anymore. Did never pick up my hand, even with half a dozen of reference frames. Very, very stupid. So now we have a new magic tool, which is the depth map. Boom! And I would say we already have a very nice mat of this end. There is some chatter here, but you can just garbage mat that out, and this can easily be done with an erode and then a dilate, and maybe crunch it down with some curves, etc. Here I curved it completely up to make it really bright. Then you push it into a luma keyer, and we even had that motion blur in there for free. So you only would need to do some minor cleanups or key the far limit, because if I have the far limit here, I can actually bring more in focus by pulling it more to the left. Let's see what it brings in focus. Let's put it to 0. And this renders a lot quicker, by the way, on an NVIDIA. This is a Mac with an AMD. Macs suck. I only bought this because I really love that screen and I got a very sweet deal on it. And it's great for Davinci editing. But all my compositing I do on a heavy Lenovo laptop with an RTX in there. But as you can see, if I bring back that far limit, I bring more quote-unquote in focus or in view. Boom. And here you can actually see that cupboard is like black magic. Pun intended, Davinci. This is like black magic. This is wizardry. And you can, of course, key this value to get the most out of your shot. It doesn't eliminate roto yet completely, but it makes it so much easier to properly roto. Even in the worst case, if you have to clean this up, you would just put subtraction masks around it. It's just easy. And you curve it up to make it really bright. And even with this, in the eventual composite, it's decent. Let me brighten it up again because, well, OBS. It is decent, passable. You see some spider webbing, that's what I said. If it's client work, I would actually use subtraction mask, but I wouldn't need to roto each individual finger, and that's the only good way to do roto. Roto each part individually. I see people just drawing a big line that will never get past a roto soup. You want individual splines that you can manage individually, move individually. That way it reduces chatter. Otherwise you get those very chattery things. But in this darker shot, even it's really passable. You wouldn't even notice it. I dare say that nobody actually noticed it if they didn't pixel peep. So yeah, this is a way to really make your foreground roto life a lot easier. And it's better than the After Effects Rotobrush, which causes a lot of chatter. It's really ugly. I always notice a shot instantly like, Film Riot uses it a lot. And I instantly say, oh, that is a Rotobrush roto. I just have an eye for this. But with this, because it's a depth map, it is far more gradual. So a lot less chatter. So there you have it, using the depth node to create a roto mask on the fly. A roto mask that is better than the After Effects Rotobrush, which gives a lot of chatter that wouldn't get by any roto supervisor whatsoever. This may even fool them if they don't see the splines, because you can dilate the shape, erode it back in, give a nice edge blur. It's really powerful. It's awesome. We live in great, exciting times where we learn how to apply AI to solutions that make sense. And this is a solution that makes sense. Tedious jobs that people have to draw individual shapes around fingers, palms, faces, noses. That's a waste of human talent and resource. So I'm very happy with these sorts of developments. So I hope you learned something for your VFX workflow, and see you in the next one.